And you make a couple of slaves count too, so that it doesn't go too far, and the guy who's in pain knows that the end is coming because he can hear the count. And they count unus, duo, tres, you know, and he's not going to scream because they have some dignity. They're slaves, but they try to keep some dignity about them. And when you get 10, then he's done, okay? And you go over there and you make him kiss your ring. That's because he has to show that he still respects you for punishing him. And then he's a good slave. Sometimes I get to the farm and the guy, you look at him, you take off the tunic, he's got the welts on his back from 2 different directions. He's been whipped a couple of times already. This is a guy, what we call a slow learner, okay? So we do something different for him. I'm going to go over and talk to him and try to find out what's his problem. You know, aren't you happy here? Don't we treat you nice? Isn't this one of the better farms? You got a place to sleep. We feed you. And while this is going on, the foreman's coming with the tripod with the hot coals in it. And we put the tripod in the front of him, and we bring in the iron. We've got this long iron with the letter F backwards on the front of it. And we heat that iron until it's red hot. And I'm talking to the slave, and I'm telling him, you know, you've proven that we can't trust you anymore. So from now on, everybody's going to know that you're a fugitivus. You pick up the iron, and you push it on his forehead, right there. You do it under the forehead, not on the arm or someplace, because you want him to smell that smell. And that's a very special smell, believe me. When that iron burns his skin, and push it right down to the bone, okay? Push it into there hard, and make the burn, and then take it away. He's going to scream. They all scream at that. There's no way to keep your dignity at that point. He's going to scream, and when it heals up, you have a real nice F up there. Everybody who sees him says, fugitivus, fugitivus. That's a runaway slave. Don't trust him. Never let him go by the outside of the farm. Keep him in the middle by the house. Give him the dirty jobs, okay? Keep your eye on him all the time. One time I did go to the farm. I looked at the tied up slave. He had whip marks on his back. I pulled up his head. There was the F. This guy was incorrigible. What can you do with a slave like that? You can sell him. Who's going to buy a runaway slave? He's not worth anything to me. The only good to me now is as a lesson to the other slaves. So we're going to take him to a special tree. And we have a tree that has branches that go like this, okay? And what you do is you take this slave, you tie his hands behind his back, you tie his feet together, and you take him over to the branches, and you stick his head through the branches so it goes like that. You put a stick behind his head and lock him in there, in the crux of the tree. That's called a crucifixion. That's what the real crucifixion is. You put someone into the crux of the tree, and you let their own weight strangle them and let them die. They're going to kick, they're going to wiggle a little bit, but that's all right. Make the other slaves watch. And then don't take him down when he's dead. Let him stay there 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, until he gets ripe. And make the other slaves go by that spot every day. And hopefully the lesson they learn is that their master is a man who has a lot of patience. He's a man with clementia, but he also has gravitas and severitas. If you push him too far, he'll kill you, because that's his right. That's his right, and that's his responsibility. Otherwise, you're going to have a chaos on the farm. All of the slaves are going to want to run away. So you have to be hard when you are the master of the family, pater familias. I hope you don't have to see that if you come to my house. Most days we don't have that trouble. Most days everything's nice, and if you're the last visitor in, why, you can sit with me a little bit longer. I'll introduce you to my family. I've got a son, his name is Marcus. I have a daughter named Gloria. My wife, I don't know. If you're a man visiting me, you're not going to see my wife. Nobody sees the matrona of the house. She's a very private person. Her name is Liliana, and she's beautiful. Okay, I married her when she was young. I was like 29 years old, and she was just ready for marriage. She was 14. And Liliana, her name fits her perfectly because like the lily flower, her skin is just as light as it can be. That's a sure sign of a rich matrona. They never go in the sunlight. Never. She never lets the sunlight hit her skin. You look at her sometimes, she's real pale, just like a flower. And that's what you take a great pride in for your woman, for your wife, okay? That she's not someone who has to go on the street. She's not someone who has to work outside in the sun. If you're walking down the street sometime and you see this woman coming with real dark sunburned skin, that's a slave. That's someone who has to work outside. Don't leave the sidewalk for a woman like that. You just walk ahead with your head high and make her step down in the street because she's a slave. If anybody saw my wife, they would know this is a very special woman. But you're not going to see her if you're a man, because why do I want you to look at my wife? My wife is my special person. And if I start letting men look at her, men start to get the wrong idea, okay? If you're a woman, I'll let you meet my wife, Liliana. She's very nice. She runs the house. She takes care of my daughter. She teaches my daughter to read, to write, to sing, to play the lyre. They do spinning, old-fashioned spinning of wool. They like to make a tunic for me once in a while, and I try to wear them, you know, just to show that we do make our own clothes in the house. It's not bad. You'll meet the other slaves. We have Cynthia, the cook. Philippos takes care of the garden. Cassandra, you have already met. Idiotes will be at the door. So I do want you to come early in the morning. We'll have some fun, and if you like it, you can stay all day, have a prandium with us, stay for Cana, we'll recline, we'll drink wine, we'll have some fun. So until then, I want to say, Valete omnes, and I hope to see you in Pompeii.